or doesn't feel good, we have to trust it.
You just let us know. Thank you for joining us today. I am Kay Hampton, and I'm the Deputy Director of our office. Columbia Economic Development is a department of the City of Columbia. We have 4 major areas of focus in our office: recruitment of both new business and talent, existing business expansion and retention, entrepreneurship, and marketing communications. You can find out more about us on our website, choosecolumbiasc.com. Today's webinar will also be streaming live on our Facebook page at COLA SC ED. We are excited to have Nita Rutherford, who is an entrepreneur and small business owner in Columbia SC, and Tony Waller is the Director of Constituent Relations at Walmart. Our guests will take questions as time allows, and you can submit those in the chat box of the webinar. We will start with allowing our guests to tell us a little bit about themselves, their careers, and current positions, and they will continue with conversations on topics regarding building an authentic workplace and how to include diversity and inclusion into everyday values. Nita, Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm very honored to be here today.
And same here. It is really an honor and a pleasure to be speaking with people from the beautiful city of Columbia, South Carolina, and to be able to hang out with someone as super fast.
It's kind of glamorous some days, and some days not so much.
I feel you on that. I really, really do. People laugh at me because even at home, as I'm sequestered at home, I still get dressed up. I still put on a tie every day, right? And so, but there are days, right, that I'm like, I can't do this today. I slap my hat on top of my head, and I said, this is the best I can do for y'all.
I love it. I just made a video yesterday on my Instagram talking about the need to still get dressed because it's a part of self-love and self-care, and we can get bogged down with the weight of the world, especially in the climate that we are waking up to in these past 48, 72 hours. And I think it matters to show up for yourself and to try to have a little bit of happy in sometimes a sad place. So thank you for being fabulous along with me.
Oh,
and thank you, Kay, so much for joining us and for being here and having us. I really appreciate it.
Hey, so Nita, I don't really know you. I mean, we've talked a couple of times, but tell me about you. What should I know about you?
You should know that I'm the hardest working woman you'll ever meet. That's number one.
Agreed.
Number two, you should know that my heart is in service and in the community, and whatever I can do in my life that allows me to serve others, it will always be my number one focus and my number one goal. I just so happen to do it quite stylishly. So when people ask me, who are you? What do you do? I tell them I'm a servant first. And then I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm a community advocate. Those are the titles that I would use to describe myself. But what I do for work, which is often what people want to know, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a nurse practitioner. I've been in healthcare for 14 years, and I have that skill set and that background. I work in that area every day, but my passion is I'm an adult. And so now I try to show individuals that you can be stylish and fabulous and show up for yourself in the best way possible, but you don't have to spend lots of money, that you can do it using secondhand clothing items, gently used items, and you can still look amazing. So that's
I
me in a nutshell.
I am so right there with you. Like you, I love clothes. I love, looking good. It makes me feel good. It helps me mentally be on, just mentally be on. And like you, I truly believe that. A little bit about myself, so I can kind of get into this. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised my name is Tony Waller. Again, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. My family, however, is from Virginia, from a little town called Danville, which is the southern part of the state. My father was in construction, ended up going to Puerto Rico for a year, and it ended up turning into 22 years. Uh, so that's how that goes. But moved back to Danville when I was 15. Uh, Went to college, started working for State Farm, worked for them for thinking that I would ever make a drastic change like I did, but I left State Farm after 22 successful years and went to work for Walmart and have been with
Wow.
Walmart for 13 years, almost 14. It'll be 14 years in December. Now, y'all, I started real young. Okay, so let's get that part straight. I ain't old.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
you're only 22, Tony. How have you done all
Thank
these
you.
things?
Thank you. That's right. I'm only 22. But the thing, like you said, that's kind of what I do in my daytime. But my nighttime job, my other jobs, I have two. One is I shop for people. So I have a whole group of clients that I
I love
shop
it.
for, do all of their shopping. And the range of people that I work with are individuals who have, disposable income. They can
Hmm.
buy what they want. But I have clients who say, Tony, all I have is this amount. And
Yes.
those are the ones that I love working with the most because unfortunately, society has made it seem as if in order to look good and be your best, you have to spend a whole lot of money, which you and I
Yes.
know that is a lie. That is
Yes, it is.
truly, at the time, I went to Kmart and J.C. Penney's and Sears and, all these, as some people would term lower end stores. I disagree with that, but, that people don't tend to connect with from a fashion standpoint and created all things. And it always kills me when and makes me laugh actually when people say like, oh my goodness, that looks good. Where did you get that? Oh, I bought that tie at Kmart or Walmart, or I bought that shirt at, I found this shirt at a thrift store for $7.
Right.
It's unbelievable what you can do. And then my other job is like you. I'm all about service. My mother taught me years ago, before she passed away, that we all have an assignment in this world. And do not confuse your assignment with what it is that you do. Your
Yes.
job, your family, your friends, your ups, your downs, everything in your life is a tool that you are to use to carry out your assignment.
Hmm.
And so I'm very clear on what my assignment is. And so I'm a limited amount of time on this earth that I need to get things done. And
I love
so
it.
that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
I love it. Well, we have so much in common, Tony, as we kind of found out when we had our previous conversations. Um, so tell me how you're feeling about there's this push right now, and there's a push for equality. It's a battle we've been fighting for a long time. But you work in a corporation, you work for a big corporation, and I'm sure that there have been lots of kind of coffee room talk about how to increase diversity in the workplace and how to build that and what that looks like and what that feels like, without seeming like it's just like, let's hire Black people, right? It's a very real conversation that needs to be had, because oftentimes people that look like you and I are not represented at the highest level in corporations. So talk to me a little bit about the work that you do with Walmart and how you're helping them create an environment that is more inclusive.
You know, it's interesting that you asked that question, and it's a great question. Fortunately, I don't know if it's fortunate or not, but you know, we've been having these conversations for quite some time, pre-COVID, pre everything that's been going on in the world, on what it is that we need to do for a long time, talking about the inequities that we see in the world. And he recently just came back. Prior to all this, he came back from Montgomery and went to visit the new social justice museum that's down there, and it really rocked his world. I mean, to see historically how inequity has led up to where we are today. It led him to be part of an institute called the Racial Equity Institute, and it's based out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Amazing organization. But what the institute does, it traces the history of slavery and racism from the beginning, from 1619 all the way up to today. And it shows us all of the systems that have been put in place that started back in 1690. That racism is a system that was created that has been used and reused and reused, and all these new levels have been laid on top of it to create to where we have today, which is why it's being manifested in the way that it is today. And so with that, it's really caused him it really has caused him to step up and lead and understand that we as corporations have to play a role. There was a time I would tell you that he, as many CEOs would say, we are just blank. You know, in other words, he would say, we're Walmart, we're just a retailer. I mean, we're just supposed to sell stuff. It's not for us to, you know, AT&T, we're just about phones. You know, it's not about it's not about us getting involved in this kind of stuff, right? To now where you're seeing corporations stepping up and saying, oh my goodness, we have to do something, right? And the expectation is there because consumers are expecting that. I don't know if you've seen, there is a report called the Trust Barometer that comes out every year. Edelman Public Relations, the largest public relations firm in the country, does this. And they literally test the trust in communities every single year. And in fact, they just did one straight up. People just don't trust. They don't trust government. They don't trust communities. They don't trust anybody. And their height of expectation now has increased. So now it's not government or nonprofits do the work. Corporations, you need to step up and do your part as well. And it's being reflected. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, Tony, that there's been a history in the medical field. You know, I'm a healthcare provider in the medical field, in government. You know, we have this systemic problem, and we know we can't fight all of it, right? Like, we know that we cannot fight all the battles. Like, Tony Waller can fight the battle that he can fight, and maybe that's starting a youth group in Danville to help, you know, disenfranchised youth. Maybe it's, you know, like Style by Nada, we provide clothing to the homeless, and maybe being able to provide them with business clothes to be able to go and interview for a job helps break that cycle for them of poverty, that helps get them in the right direction. So I think our society, with so many things that have been brought forth, the videoing of racial injustice and social unrest has allowed us a lens into, has allowed, I guess, not as Black people necessarily, but has allowed other non-Blacks to have a lens into what it feels like to have your life endangered
Yes.
by the people, by the very people who are supposed to protect you. So
Yes.
I think it's a very interesting dynamic that we have. And I know we can't, like, we're not the corporation, but I think that we are the consumers of these corporations, and they are in business because of us. And we know that these businesses are placed into areas where people need it the most. Walmart is not setting itself up down the street from millionaires. Walmart is setting itself up near lower socioeconomic developed areas because they are the ones that need those types of bulk and cost savings.
Right.
So we have to acknowledge that the corporations are making money off of the people who are being threatened. And we have to also acknowledge that those corporations do have social responsibility to give back to the communities that support them and put that B in the billions that they make from those communities. So I'd like to kind of switch the conversation, if I can, Tony, to have us talk about on a micro level from Walmart. What are some things that Walmart is doing at a local level, at a community level, that gives people hope and allows people to see representation from Walmart?
So you are spot on. I'm a believer that you have to control what you can control, right? The problems out here are so big, and sometimes it gets overwhelming to the point that you say, well, you throw your hands up and say, I can't do anything, which is not true. You can control what you can control. And so, to your point, we've been doing a lot of work around a number of areas. As an example, in the area of hunger, and right now, especially during the time of COVID, we are seeing more and more people who are going without. And so we've increased our giving to food banks all around the country to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that there's access to food. We've hired additional people. We've already hired over 500,000 additional workers because we know that people have been displaced. Uh, Businesses have closed or they've laid off, and so what we've done is found opportunities to bring people on board in our stores and our distribution centers to help out. And what I'm loving what's happened with this is that we've seen a lot of innovation as well, because there was a time that it would probably take about 24 days, if you will, to hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
We can now get somebody hired in 24 hours. Go in today
Wow.
and tomorrow have a job. And so I'm proud of that innovation, but there's still much more that here now they can pay their rent. We still got who are working, can they get their prescription? And so we are looking at how can we play a role in how we can play a role in that way as well. One of the things that we did talking about rent, as you know, in many of our stores, we've got storefronts, right? So we've got small businesses that are located within our stores.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we forgave rent because we knew that they were going to have a hard time if they could be open because of different rules, regulations. In many cases,
Mm-hmm.
the government said, right now you shouldn't be open. People weren't able to make money, and
Right.
had to make adjustments to how to restructure their physical buildings, right, or the physical entity to be able to serve customers. We understood that that was going to be hard. So we made provisions to let them know that we're supporting you and we're helping you out. Nonprofits, local nonprofits in communities that are serving they're serving people who have been impacted by COVID on a lot of different levels, whether it's I
Mm-hmm.
need food, whether I need other types of assistance. So we're working with local urban league affiliates. We're working with NAACP branches. We're working with the National Black Child Development Institute affiliates. We're working with school systems. We're working with smaller nonprofits who are looking for supplies and trying to
Mm-hmm.
help them as best that we can. Thus far, just in COVID alone, with COVID-related efforts alone, we've contributed over $30 million, and
Wow.
that's over and above the close to $1 billion that we contribute in the world. Here on is making sure that we do the best that we can for our associates, because they're out here working really, really hard.
Right,
Which is
right.
one of the reasons why we cut our hours. Now we're not open 24 hours. Why? Because we've got to give our associates a break. We got to give them an opportunity to rest up and be ready and take care of the needs that they need to take care of, right? To
Right.
restock our shelves, to make sure that they're available for the customer, and to make
Mhm.
sure that they can take care of their own families and make sure that they're okay,
Right.
right? And so that's the reason why we've shut those hours down so they'll be able to do that. But it's also we found opportunities to to show our appreciation, by giving them a number of bonuses. Now they've gotten 3 bonuses thus far, and a lot of people, in addition to their annual quarterly bonus, a lot of people
Mhm.
don't know that we bonus our associates every quarter. If your store is a profitable store, you are eligible for a bonus. And that's whether you are part time or full time, whether you are a store
Mhm.
greeter or a store manager. Everybody's entitled to that. But we've also made additional bonuses, 3 of them, in fact.
Mm.
It's come to a total of over $1.1 billion that we've given to associates to help the customers that we want to serve at the same time as taking care of their own needs. So those efforts continue. We were the first company. We were the first company to remove the crime-related questions of our application because we've been very focused on how can we play a role in hiring people who've been previously incarcerated. If you paid the price, you should be redeemed and given a second opportunity. And one of the things that we realized is that unfortunately society doesn't allow for that. So in 2010, we made the decision to take those questions off, and we've been working very hard in finding ways to proactively, hire people who've been previously incarcerated, who are able, who want to work, who want to make a change, and who deserve to have the opportunity for a second chance. So, I mean, I know you're tired of hearing from me, so let me shut up and
No, no,
ask you
no,
another
you're
question.
fine. No, no, you're absolutely fine. You brought up some really interesting things. I was taking notes as you were talking. The fact that Walmart has been able to assist local food banks, to assist local nonprofits. I hope that Kay will take the time to put in the chat they need assistance. So
Right.
thank you so much for bringing that up. I think sometimes we look at Walmart, this multi-billion-dollar company, and we think, they don't understand what's going on at a local level, at that micro level, as I like to say. And so it's really nice to hear that they're doing local things, that they're helping their associates, and to talk about the fact that the criminal records are yes, we have to look at those things, but to give someone a second chance. I work in a prison system here in South Carolina, and I know that sometimes people go to jail and it's for something really small. Something that really any of us, if you don't pay a speeding ticket, you can have a warrant put out for your
Right,
arrest.
right, right.
Does that make that person a bad person? No, it just means that maybe they had a heavy foot one day and they forgot to pay it. And so it's really nice to know that Walmart is making strides in the community in that way. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'd like to talk a little bit about, thank you so much, Kay, to put up the Walmart Foundation and where people can go to find that information. Let's talk about how
Mm-hmm.
how we actually bring in people, because we know that at the associate level we probably have lots of representation of Black and
Right.
brown and non white people that work in those roles. Let's talk about the actual how, though. Like for me as a small business owner, um, I recruit from USC and I recruit from Benedict College. Those are 2 schools that I have a relationship with. One is predominantly white and one is an
Right.
HBCU. I'm a proud graduate of Benedict College and HBCU. And I know that there are lots of talented people there that often are overlooked because large companies or even small businesses don't think to tap into that pool of potential workers. And so for me, I put out information at both of those schools. One has, for USC, we use a portal system there.
Mm-hmm.
And for the students at Benedict, I contact the administration to see, hey, do you have any students in need of jobs? As a local business, I've been able to help start a career closet there at Benedict College so that students who are in need of clothing, whether it be business or casual clothing, so that they can go there and get free clothing items. But that's just such a small part, right? So how do we include more people, more diverse people in the workforce? Because it's not just about
Yeah.
race, right? It's not just about Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian. It's not about those things. It's also about our veterans. It's also about the members of our LGBTQ community. It's also about having people who have different perspectives and different voices and different experiences so that they can bring those to leadership roles. Tell me how you feel Walmart is doing on at an executive level. Are they increasing recruitment efforts for people in those higher level positions? Because I often find, Tony, it's not at the base
Yeah.
level where there is
Yeah.
where there's a lack of representation. It's often at the top level. And what do you feel Walmart is doing to recruit people from its communities that it serves to operate at those higher executive levels?
So you are spot on, Naida. The fact that that we we could do a better job. I will say this: Walmart is doing a very good job. It can do better, right? And I would say to you, I would agree with you. In the lower funds of the of companies, people do really well. In entry level, they do well. But where we where corporations, and that includes Walmart, needs to
Mm-hmm.
do better at is how do we create a pipeline that prepares people to move folks up. In our case, I will tell you, and I'll be very frank, we are doing really good on the top, and we're doing really good, kind of in the bottom. But it's in the middle that we could do some more improvement.
Okay.
As an example, Dakota Smith, he is the chief operating officer of Walmart, a Black man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Latrice Watkins, she is the EVP of Consumables. In other words, she oversees all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, who else? Kelvin Bunkum is the president and CEO of Neighborhood Markets. So the small neighborhood, the smaller format stores that are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
primarily grocery, the EVP over all of that, Black male.
Okay.
uh, and the list goes on and on. I mean, we've got tons of great, you know, African American
Mm-hmm.
officers within the company who are doing tremendous work. Carla
Okay.
Harris, I don't know if you know Carla Harris, who's vice chair of not J.P. Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley,
Mm-hmm.
on the board of directors at Walmart. Prior to all of them, Ross Brewer, who now is COO of Starbucks, was the CEO of Sam's Club, which means a lot of people don't realize that we're doing there. And we're continuing to add more and more African American officers to the company. And that's because of the leadership and direction of Doug McMillan, who says, we're going to make this thing happen, right? But to your
Okay.
point,
Well,
how do we
but
now
that's really
prepare
good to
people?
hear.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but now how do we prepare people, to your point, right, to be ready to compete for those jobs when
Right.
Latrice decides I'm going to take another opportunity, when Dakota says I'm retiring, when
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin says, oh, I want to move over to international, right? Who are we preparing to get lifted up there? And so
Yes.
it happens on two ways. One is in the recruitment,
Okay.
right? So we have an amazing executive recruiting team who is directed by all of our key associates that say this is what I want, who are
Mm-hmm.
saying to people, don't present to me a pool of candidates that's not diverse for me to interview, who are
Mm.
saying who are saying then in turn, what are we doing now to make sure that we're preparing people to compete? Because we got a lot of good people working at Walmart, right? So
Right.
how do we start identifying that talent? And it's on us too. So one of the things that I learned was I can't expect others to do what I should be doing too, which means being on the lookout of good, solid talent and making powers that be aware of that talent and saying
Mm.
to them, you need to take a look at this person, his or her talents, and get them into the eyes of the right people. We've all got to do that. So it can't all be on recruiting. It's got to be on us as associates, and we have to expect that. And so that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that we're working on. I have a small informal group of directors and senior directors that meet every month. And one of the things that we talk about is looking at who have we seen out there that looks really good, who's doing great stuff, and then okay, so what are we going to do to get that person into the front of the into the eyes of the right people so they can be viewed. It's those kinds of things that have to happen. And then the other thing that has to take place, and I'm very proud of where we're headed here, is making sure that we're developing programs specifically to identify and prepare diverse associates, and in this case, Black associates, to be ready to compete. So we've been working with our executive talent development department to focus on, okay, I know that you all are looking at these high potential people. How do we start identifying people who are high potential, who are Black and others, but who are Black? And how do we now, in turn, start preparing them intentionally for opportunities? Because the other thing I always see is that we talk about it, right? Oh, yeah,
Right.
but we don't get intentional about it. Until you like really do something, you know, talking about it ain't gonna do squat.
Tony, so I was about to call you out. We're implementing a diversity program, or we're increasing our recruitment efforts to include more diversity. But I want to see it. I want to see proof. And so when I hear companies say, whether they are a small business or whether they're a large corporation, when they say to me, "Hey, we're increasing our diversity in our recruitment," how? Show me what you're doing. And then when you get those people in, what are you doing to develop your people? Right. So one of the things that happens at Styled by Nada, and again, I speak from a small business standpoint, is my employees are paid well. My top employees, they make a certain amount, and then at our base level, you're making $10 an hour, and a lot of times these are college students. Let me tell you, if when I was in college, I would have killed for a job where I could have made $10 an hour. Minimum wage is $7.25, and so we're already bringing our people in and showing them respect for their time and their talents by valuing that with a dollar amount. And then like our director of operations makes a little bit more than that, because we're preparing leaders. So when you come to work at Styled by Nada, you are being prepared for leadership. So I don't treat them as if they are just, working for me. I tell them all the time, I work for you. You tell me what you want to see. So we hire them as independent contractors so that they can say, so we have a young lady that is majoring in visual merchandising. Well, I can't provide you those tools. That's in you. So you have to bring your talents to our store. Right. And so one of the main parts of her role there is to do the visual merchandising for the store. The store has never looked better. We love having her on. We have and she's a USC student that is majoring in retail management. So she helps to run the operations of the store. So when you come to work for my small business, you are doing what you would do in a real position on the outside. We give them that real world experience. And when they get stuck, or if there's an employee issue, I say to them, how would you fix it? If you had to fire or hire someone, how would you fix it? Because I feel as if a lot of times, and even in large corporations, there is no thought placed into what will actually prepare them for leadership. Well, you can't prepare for any role unless you learn to practice in that role. So I force them to use their leadership skills, and then I pinpoint. I like to see where they are naturally. Some people are natural leaders and some people need development. So for the young lady who is the director of operations, she's a natural leader. When everything started to fall apart with coronavirus and all of that, and she happens to be she's a white female, but then our marketing director is a Black female. We have a model and store associate who's a Black female. We have another young lady who she was from, I want to say her family's from Nigeria. I may be messing that up. I'm so sorry, Ngozi. I love you. I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. But so we try to have a diverse workforce so that when shoppers come into the store, there's representation, there's a mix there. But also we try to give them diverse experiences that actually prepare them for leadership, so that when they walk into a Walmart as an associate or a store manager or one of those mid-level exec roles, they have been in leadership. They know what it's like to fire someone. They know what it's like to hire. They know what it's like to lead daily meetings and weekly meetings and to plan, to do retail management and resource management.
Right,
So
right.
so Walmart is, from what I hear you say to me, Tony, you're saying that Walmart could improve in their development of those mid-level executives, but they are also putting in place programs, actual programs with objectives and goals to foster and facilitate leadership in at that entry level to build them up. Is that what you're saying to me, Tony? Because that makes me very happy.
Well, that is exactly what I'm saying to you. And in fact, one of the areas where we've done an amazing job, I'm so proud of, is in our internship program. You're talking about bringing people in. Our internship program is, I would say probably one of the best internship programs in the country, because we give our interns real world challenges to solve. And these are programs that stuff actually end up implementing. I mean, so the last interns just uh, I had the opportunity to meet a young man, Southern University grad, or getting ready to graduate from Southern University, who was given a project to focus on how do we make in Sam's Club, how do we take some of our what's the right word, the uh, surrounding programs that we work with, like Voodoo, Pandora, all of these agreements, all of these kind of merchandising agreements that we have with organizations, and how
Mm-hmm.
do we make them better? Because of the fact that while we have them, are the members really using them? Right? So is it because there's something else that's better out there, or they don't know about it, or a combination? What is
Mm.
it? And what he put together was out of this world. So much so that he's been offered a job already. So he's already secured a position at Sam's Club before he even gets out of school. So he's going back to school for the rest of
Love
this
it.
year, and next year he'll be working. He'll be working for us, right? So those are the kinds of things that, and to your point, so often what happens is like we do these programs, right? But we don't put no meat behind them, right? We don't put any
Mm-hmm.
real, to your point, exactly what you talk about, of really giving them experiences that really set them up to be able to, to be successful when they start hitting the real world. And so those are the kind of things that we have to continue doing. We have to continue walking that talk. Um, our Black African American Associate Resource Group has a program that they put together for educating them on who we are as a business and how
Mm-hmm.
to understand the business. So not just about our philosophy and why we do what we do, but understanding, what does it mean to market at Walmart? What does it mean
Mm.
to understand a balance sheet at Walmart? What does it mean when we're
Right.
talking about profit and loss? What does it mean
Mm-hmm.
when we're talking about supply chain and bringing things in? Giving them those basics so that they understand what the business is all about, and
Mm-hmm.
prepare them, and also to show them what other options they are, right? Because the
Mm.
the other thing that we learned was that oftentimes people always think that, when they think of Walmart, they just think of a store. And I get it. That's what most people see. They see a store and cashiers and stockers and store managers, but they don't see the architects. They don't see the real estate agents. They don't see uh, all the computer and tech people that we hire. They don't see all the logistics expert who are.
Mm.
They don't even see the weathermen. Do you know that we have our own weather station? We have people right now trucks to make sure that they're able to get to the stores that they need to get to, right?
Mm.
How they're looking at that. I mean, those are the kind of stuff that we do in house. We don't hire anybody else to do that. We do that ourselves. So these are jobs that people often don't understand, that we realize that we hire. We have our own DJs. People don't realize that we have our own radio station, that we have our own DJs that we hire. I mean, we have our own television
Wow.
station. We got television technicians, producers, directors, who work for us as well, who do our own commercials, who do everything, So these are the kinds of things that time people don't understand. Have we have to
Mhm.
expose people to. Now, to your point, this is where we have the biggest challenge: is how do we make sure that we trickle this information down to the field? One of the things that we
Right.
have really learned really well right now in these past few months is that all the time our own associates in the field don't know what's available, don't know, understand. And
Mhm.
so big concentration of the work right now is making sure that people fully know this stuff. There's a
Mhm.
gentleman by the name of Keith Weiche. Keith is one of our vice presidents overseeing what we call our education shared value work. They're the ones that's one pillar in this race towards social equity that we're focusing on, of how do we do better from an education and workforce development standpoint. He's looking at that and he's identified that as one of the things that we do. And how do we do it in a way that we keep people informed? How do we do it in a way that we
Mhm.
actually help people create their own um, uh, workforce plan? Like, if you know be X, how do we get you there? How do we intentionally get you
Mhm.
there? And we've got people out there who are very versed, who are very associates have those kinds of opportunities. So, you are spot on. Now let me ask you something.
Yes, come on, I'm ready.
You as a small business owner, I'm not going to call you that because I already could. You're a conglomerate.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
so let's be real. You a bad sister.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
what are the challenges that you have seen as an entrepreneur now, given all of the issues and challenges that we are seeing in the world, and how have you what are the steps that you have taken to kind of adjust, readjust, kind of make change to keep this thing going? Because I know it cannot be easy.
It is not easy. And I'll tell you this, there are lots of businesses that won't make it out of this pandemic, that won't make it out of the social unrest and the social injustice that we're dealing with. There are lots of non-Black businesses that will suffer because people will maybe not patronize them. Maybe they have a Confederate flag hanging in their restaurant and they didn't realize that people noticed. And so there are lots of businesses that will be affected by this. And I'll tell you that our business has been affected. And I'll share with you that I'm a part owner of a restaurant in Northeast Columbia, a soul food restaurant. And while my Style by Nada business has, decreased and is very difficult because you don't have 20 of
Mm.
one product, or like Walmart, thousands of one product, and you just have that one picture. We have to take a picture and measurements and find models and do all of that for one item. And so that whole process for one item, and it's been a challenge, but we have Satchel and Kit and Tasia and Gozi, Olivia, um, who have worked with me throughout the pandemic, who have been, just amazing, amazing talent that they brought to us. But I'll tell you, it's been hard. Now, at the restaurant that I co-own with Raquel Thomas, um, the pandemic was the best thing that happened to it. The social injustice and arrest was the best thing that could have happened to it. Restaurant business is hard and it was struggling. And we had all this food. And like I said, service is the main driver behind most of the things that I do, probably all the things that I do, honestly. And I said, we should offer $5 meals to the community. And she said, what a great idea. We have all this produce, all this meat, all these things that we can offer. And there are lots of families who were struggling, and there were
Mm.
people who maybe weren't struggling and they were able to donate meals. We donated, we had people, organizations that donated money so that the nurses at the hospital could eat. We had people who donated masks. I know personally, I rode the bus system to give out masks to people. And so we tried to find different ways to market and use the business that we have to support the community. And we're small, we don't have a lot of money, but it was very helpful for our restaurant business, for people to know what we were doing. And for the Style by Nada side, we encouraged people during the pandemic, because we operate off of donations, clothing donations. Purge your closet. Use this quarantine time to purge. Leave it on your porch. We'll come by and pick it up. It will be a contactless delivery and drop off. And so we were able to do that. And now we have beautiful products that we can offer people for $5 and $10. We have a diverse workforce. And so we were able to pivot and adjust accordingly. But there are lots of businesses that don't understand how to do that. And so during this time, I've tried as a small business owner, as the future conglomerate that I will be, to offer people advice and lessons that I've learned along this way.
That's
and
great.
I find that when you are doing things for the community that help the community, people are more likely to support your business. Talk less. And so we showed people what we were doing versus talking and making beautiful pictures and posts about it. Here is what we're doing. Yes, there's a pandemic going on, but we are riding the bus and giving out masks. Yes, there's a pandemic going on, but we are offering free clothing to the homeless who don't have access to showers and things, but at least they can have on fresh clothes. We're offering non-perishable food items that they can take with them as snacks, because a lot of the restaurants aren't doing the outreach that they were once doing because they are limited in their resources. So we are doing the work as a small business to support our community. But you shared about Walmart having a Walmart Foundation. I never knew about that. So don't worry, you'll see. I'm sure there are lots of people requesting help from Walmart, but we're going to throw our names in the hat too. So this is such a great conversation, because what it does is allow people to have a face to go with Walmart that looks like them.
Yeah.
And that's speaking to what we are actually going through. That really does matter. And I think even for my business with the restaurant Gold Den and with Style by Nada, we're using this time to rebrand. We're using this time to make improvements. So Style by Nada will actually become the Now and Then store, so that we can focus more on bringing in local small businesses that don't have the capital to have a storefront, that don't have to rely on going to flea markets during this time. We have an audience of 10.7 thousand people that we can reach for them. So it may not be a lot to people who have 1 million followers, but for our local community, it could mean, putting money into a single mom's pocket, or helping her stay in school with her side business. So those are the ways that as a small business, I feel like we're helping. And it's really nice to know that Walmart is supporting people like me who may need that support during this time.
You said something that brought to memory of something, one of my favorite quotes. There's a quote by St. Augustine that says, "Preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words." And that's exactly what you're doing. So, you keep on preaching the gospel, girl. Keep on preaching.
You got to meet people where they are.
That's right. And you're spot on. I mean, we've got to find those kind of ways to support people who ordinarily, don't have their normal channels, if you will, of being able to sell their products, right? One of the things that we've been having a big conversation on at Walmart is how can we do more around making it easier, or making it better for small businesses to be able to share their products, and services to others through Walmart. And one way we've done it is by creating what we call a marketplace on Walmart.com, so that individuals who may not be able to, let's say, put something in a store can still be, and oftentimes that's how many businesses begin, right? They start something online, then they're able to ramp up enough resource to be able to put products in our stores. The other way, one of the things I always tell people, if you Google doing business with Walmart, or if you go to corporate.walmart.com/suppliers, it provides all of the information on how individuals who want to become suppliers for Walmart, how they can do it. And I would suggest people and encourage people, look, we're always looking for good product and opportunities, but I also say to people, make sure that you are ready. and Nina, you talked about that, right? You talked
Mm-hmm.
about being ready when I had to switch over when COVID hit. Oftentimes, what we
Yes.
find is that folks aren't ready. So this way, be ready, but the site will give you really great information on what we're looking for, how we look at things, what you should be considering, what are the questions that we're going to ask you so that you have the answer for them. Because
Mm.
oftentimes the other thing people will say, like, well, I can't, we have 5,500 stores in this country, right? Well, I can't supply 5,500 stores. I get that. Not everybody can, right? But
Right.
can you supply 10? Can you
Yes.
supply 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the site will kind of talk about that as well, right? So how do you go about that kind of thing too? And so we have to continue looking for those ways of making that happen. And as I spoke with you, about looking at the stores that are the entrepreneurs who are inside of our Walmart stores. The other piece that Doug McMillan, our CEO, has said is that we have to watch out for all the small businesses that are around our stores, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we are part of that community. And so, what role should we be playing, in helping the recovery when the right time comes that we can kind of get out and do something to see that recovery. Doug McMillan is the chair. Not only is he our CEO, but he's the chair of the Business Roundtable, which is composed of the CEOs of the top 200 companies in the country. And he has made it very clear as chairman that he says, it serves us, it does not serve us well, right? If we aren't doing something to help small business.
Mm-hmm.
The economy needs small business. We It is not good business, despite what people think that like if we have it all, having it all is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Economically speaking, it does
Mm-hmm.
not work. You see, there's plenty of documentation that says that, and Doug recognizes that we, in order for this economy to do what it's supposed to do, to be as successful as it
Mm-hmm.
as it can be, it must. So you're spot on, and I'm proud of you. I love
Thank
how you're being
you.
innovative and doing what you're doing to serve, to serve those that you're trying to try to help, and not just people and consumers, but other fellow small business people. So let
Yes.
me ask you one other thing. What's your advice to me? What what is your advice to me as I continue down this journey? What do you think, and what are you charging me, and what are you encouraging me to do?
I am so glad you asked this question because I was going to offer it whether it was solicited or not.
Oh Lord! Oh
um,
my goodness! Have I
I
opened up myself to something? No, I'm
I
just messing.
charge you. I charge you to I charge you to look out into the communities where the Walmart stores are, to look for
Okay.
those small businesses and maybe develop a program that helps small business become eventually big business. I charge you to create informational commercials that let people know about all of the components of Walmart and
Mm-hmm.
that there are internships available, and have programs that are direct pipelines to HBCUs and to all female schools that offer a way for people who are often overlooked or lost in the big pool, a way to directly bring in people from a diverse leadership, and at executive levels. I've been in a position of leadership and been the only female and the only person of color in the room, and it's very disheartening to not have people that have your same experience and that experience microaggression the way that you do from their peers. And so I charge you, Tony Waller, today to commit to me that you guys will look at small business, but you will also look at a direct pipeline into HBCUs and into the community, and to look for programs that encourage people of color and that encourage women, to that encourage people of the LGBTQ community to join forces with Walmart to create a community that really does serve everyone and not just a few.
You got it. I got you.
Perfect. I
as
love
a
it.
as as a as a gay Black Puerto Rican, I got you, girl. I'm right there with you. So
I love it.
I thank you for that. And here's my charge to you.
Yes, I was
Uh,
just about to say, what advice do you have to me?
keep on being vocal. Keep on speaking out for those who cannot speak. Make me accountable. I want you to watch me. I want you to Google me. And I want you to say, yo, Tony
I
Walla,
will.
I ain't seeing you doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? Because we need to
Mhm.
prop each other up, encourage us, each other, and keep us
Yes.
all accountable. So I got my charge,
Mhm.
and I loved everything that you presented. I absolutely loved it. But I want you to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
I promise you that I will keep in touch with you, and that if I feel like you're not, I will let you. But I will also praise you when you are, because a lot of times we critique things, but we don't often for those small battles. We know there are lots of small
Yeah,
battles to get to the big war, right? And so, and
Nita,
Kay, thank you so much for having this forum. This was
I know.
Yes.
amazing.
I was gonna say, Kay. Now I ain't trying to put Nada on the. I ain't trying to put Nada on the
Oh,
spot. But can we do this again? I mean, I think that there's so
Yes.
oh,
much more that we could be talking about. Nita, you are
absolutely.
just fabulous and brilliant,
Thank you.
and
So are you.
there's so many other questions that I would have loved to have asked you. And so I ain't trying to put anybody on the spot, but Kay, if there ever comes an opportunity that we could do this again, I would love it, because I think there's just a lot. There's a lot that I can learn from data, and that I hope that others can, and I'm hoping that people can learn a little something from us. And there's just all these other topics of conversation that we never even got to.
That's
Yes,
right.
let's do it. I'm here.
There's a lot more we can talk about. And I appreciate both of you so much. Our whole office does. It's been a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better. You're both full of life and, great community leaders and servants, and really great role models for everyone. I think we've gotten a lot of cool tips and tricks on both ends of the spectrum, from corporate to the small business today. And that's what our office does. That's what we're about. And we are proud to know people like you and have you in our community, and thankful. And I thank everybody for attending today. Again, if you have questions for us in our office, we're always available for you. Our website is choosecolumbiasc.com, and we're happy to help. We're there for you.
I think we should talk a little bit about how society props up celebrities and doesn't necessarily talk about leadership and how you can have success without necessarily being a celebrity. So that was a question that was asked in the chat. So Kay, I'm putting it on your shoulders, so that we can maybe have a discussion about that.
We will. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.